Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I must say that we all strongly endorse the very impressive presentation by the Speaker before me, sir, because this is a matter that touches the very soul of our democracy, the representation of half of our population in the hallowed halls of our Parliament. And for decades, the Women's Reservation Bill has been long promised, frequently discussed, perpetually delayed, like waiting for Godot of our political system. Today, we stand at a threshold where there is remarkably a near unanimous political consensus in favour of women's reservation. Every major party in this House recognises that the time for tokenism is over and the era of equal partnership must begin. And yet I'm finding myself deeply perturbed by the legislative exercise before us. The Prime Minister says the government has brought Nari Shakti, a gift of justice, but he has wrapped it in barbed wire, tethering the implementation of women's reservation to the expansion of Parliament, to numbers from the 2011 census, and an exercise of delimitation. Why, Mr. Speaker, why must we entangle a moral imperative with a demographic minefield? Women's reservation is ready for harvest. खेत की फसल काटने के लिए तैयार है दोस्तों. It can and should be implemented immediately based on our existing parliamentary strength. To link it to delimitation is to hold the aspirations of Indian women hostage to one of the most contentious and complex administrative exercises in our nation's history. Sir, delimitation is not a mere bureaucratic rearranging of maps. It is a profound shift in political power that is intended. Linking women's reservation to it effectively holds the aspirations of Indian women hostage to one of the most contentious political exercises in our history. Such an exercise, sir, carries risks that could strain the very fabric of our federalism, as you heard from the previous speaker. Any delimitation exercise is fraught with complications that could tear at the very fabric of our federalism. We must be candid about what is at stake when constituencies are redrawn based on either current population figures or even the 2011 census. Let's face it, sir, delimitation requires serious discussion. We face a profound demographic divergence. There are at least three major fault lines in our country, sir. First, the balance between small states and big states. Second, the balance between states, particularly in the south like Tamil Nadu or Kerala, which have diligently implemented national goals of population control and invested in inclusive human development, and those states, mainly in the north, who have not. Yet in future delimitations, states that have failed to curb population growth would be rewarded with greater political weight, and we must ask if this is the message we wish to send, that governance excellence leads to political irrelevance. Third factor, sir, the balance between the states that are the engines of our economy, contributing more to the national exchequer than they receive, and those that are net recipients of central funds. A delimitation based purely on population would further marginalize the voices of those states that provide the lion's share of resources that keeps our union afloat. We risk creating a tyranny of the demographic majority, where a handful of large, poor states could theoretically determine the fate of the entire country, leaving smaller states and those with distinct linguistic and cultural identities and economic contributions feeling like bystanders in their own country. Conversely, states with high population growth but lower economic productivity could gain outsized political power without corresponding fiscal responsibility. What happens, sir, to cooperative federalism? You have proposed delimitation with such haste, the same haste that you showed on demonetization. And unfortunately, we all know what damage that did to the country. Delimitation, sir, will turn out to be political demonetization. Don't do it, sir. Now, I want to say the 50% formula that suddenly the Home Minister came and presented to us yesterday regarding the delimitation exercise, promising that no state will lose its current number of seats, total House strength will increase by 50%. This remains a precarious political assurance and not a legislative certainty. because the pledge is fundamentally contradicted by the existing text of the legislation itself, which gives total freedom to the Delimitation Commission appointed by the government, whose decisions cannot be challenged in a court of law. Since this formula, what Shri Amit Shah said, is not codified as an immutable constitutional or legislative safeguard, it could be easily discarded or altered by a simple parliamentary majority, offering no guarantee that it will survive beyond the very short term. Furthermore, expanding the Lok Sabha to an 850-member House would create the legislature that is by far the largest in any democracy in the world, resulting in a body that will be unwieldy and unworkable. This is especially true, sir, in an era where the government has been systematically reducing the duration of parliament sittings. Whereas the first and second Lok Sabhas met for an average of 125 days a year, the 16th and 17th Lok Sabhas saw that figure plummet to just below 60 days, sir. In such a constrained schedule, what will your job be, sir? An 850-member chamber would require at least a doubling of the time currently allotted to question hour, 0 hour, for a majority of MPs.
मेरे कार्यकाल में होगा तो सबको मौका दे दूंगा।
Sir, for a majority.
देर रात कल भी इसी महिला संशोधन बिल पर रात को 1:25 तक सभी महिला सदस्यों को मौका दिया, सबको।
देखिए, लेकिन ये भी आपके बारे में भी चिंता है, सर। और for a majority of MPs to have any chance of meaningful participation, you'll have to double the time allotted to question hour and 0 hour, failing which a majority of representatives would be effectively silenced, sir. How will you manage to give 850 MPs a chance to speak? As it is with 543, many of us don't get questions. You are saying no whenever we ask for the floor.
शशि थरूर जी, मैं रोकना नहीं चाहता, लेकिन इस सदन में कोई माननीय सदस्य नहीं बोल सकता कि मैं किसी को बोलने का मौका नहीं देता, चाहे शून्यकाल हो, चाहे विधेयक हो, जितनी देर बोलने देना चाहता सबको बोलने देता। और अंतिम रात को अंतिम रूप से मैं लास्ट में रहता हूँ कि कोई बाकी रह गया हो तो भी और बुला देता हूँ।
850 होते हैं, 850 होते हैं, आपका हाल क्या होगा मुझे पता नहीं। Anyway, another concern, sir.
राजा जी फर्स्ट टाइमर को विशेष रूप से बोलने का मौका देता हूं। कोई फर्स्ट टाइमर ऐसा नहीं बोल सकता कि मुझे बोलने का मौका नहीं।
Sir, let me continue, sir. Another concern is while the size of the Lok Sabha is being expanded in the government's proposal, there is no corresponding proposal to increase the strength of the Rajya Sabha. Raises a serious structural concern, sir. This alters the relative balance between the two houses. In the event of a joint sitting, the significantly larger Lok Sabha would dominate the voting process, and the imbalance would also extend to the elections of president and vice president, where each MP casts an equal vote. So we are amplifying our own house and our own weight without, unfortunately, giving any heed to our colleagues in the upper house. And you can imagine, if the upper house is the chamber of states, then you can understand the concern of states that their weightage is not being respected, sir. Now, these are all problems, Mr. Speaker, that cannot be solved by a simple calculator. They require a great compromise. A historic settlement is needed in our country that ensures that no region feels diminished. And, sir, even though one of the BJP speakers had criticized me for making some suggestions from international examples, let me say there is no harm in looking to international examples where diverse unions have grappled with this exact tension. In 1787, the American framers, for example, faced a deadlock between large and small states. And so they led to what was called the Connecticut Compromise, where their solution was a bicameral legislature, a House of Representatives based on population, and a Senate where every state, regardless of size, has exactly 2 seats. So you may be a tiny state like Goa or Sikkim, and you might be a gigantic state like UP, you'd have the same number of seats in the upper house. That's one idea. I'm not saying we should adopt it, but we should discuss it. Another idea, say the European Parliament. They use a system of principle of digressive proportionality. where larger seats do have more seats than smaller ones. So larger states will have more MPs. But smaller states are given more seats than a strict population ratio would justify. So it is true that in Europe, in the European Parliament, a Maltese MP will represent only 80,000 people. A German MP will represent 8 lakh people. But it doesn't matter, they stay united. So we need to consider these options. We are a union of states, sir. And the whole idea is we want to create a formula in a serious delimitation discussion where the smallest members of our country and our polity still have a voice loud enough to be heard. These models teach us that in a complex union, the principle of one person, one vote, one value, which has been cited by the ruling party, must be balanced with the principle of one state, one equal partner, one value in a country like ours. As India approaches a new delimitation exercise, the constitutional question is whether the spirit of cooperative federalism can be preserved through a model that respects demographic reality while preventing structural domination by a few large Hindi-speaking states. Digressive proportionality would not violate constitutional democracy. It would operationalize the Constitution's deeper commitment to the Indian principle of balancing unity with diversity. Sir, सीमांकन से जुड़े मुद्दों पर सभी हितधारकों, सभी राज्य सरकारों, सभी राजनीतिक दलों और नागरिक समाज के साथ व्यापक परामर्श की आवश्यकता है, सर। इस प्रक्रिया को जल्दबाजी में नहीं किया जा सकता और ना ही इसे महिलाओं के प्रतिनिधित्व को लागू करने के बहाने के रूप में इस्तेमाल किया जाना चाहिए। सरकार देश के निर्वाचन मानचित्र को पर्याप्त विचार विमर्श और व्यापक परामर्श के बिना क्यों पुनर्निर्धारित करना चाहेगी, ये मुझे समझ में नहीं आ रहा सर। I urge the government, therefore, to decouple these issues. Pass the Women's Reservation Bill today, we will support it. The Prime Minister spoke with passion about Nari Shakti. Let it take effect already in the next general election, using our current seat count. Show the women of India that your commitment is not a mere rhetorical flourish. As for delimitation, sir, let us defer it. Let us constitute a formal mechanism, perhaps a JPC, sir, to debate a new federal settlement that protects the interests of all states. Let us ensure that a march towards a new India does not give us a disunited India. Let us not leave our most successful states behind. Bharatiya ekta ke liye hame kaam karna chahiye, sir. Let us give women their due now. Mahilaon ko nari shakti hi de de, or give our nation, our union of states, the time it needs to solve its demographic challenges with wisdom and not just arithmetic. बस मैं यही कहना चाहता था संक्षिप्त में, sir. Thank you very much for listening to me. It's a plea to the government. Please be sensible about the larger interests of the country and not the short-term interests of the ruling party. Jai Hind, sir.
Shri